The Widow of Panther Creek. In the Appalachian foothills of Tennessee, where the Cherokee once hunted and the Holston River carved its way through the ancient stone, there lived a woman they called Miss Elsie Jane Carter. But most did not say her name. They whispered, the widow. She lived alone at the far bend of Panther Creek, where the trees grew thick and the air held secrets. Her husband, a Confederate son, had died in the coal shafts during the Great War. And from that day forward, she walked in the woods with a rifle, her hound Jasper, and a faded photograph tucked close to her heart. She was no ghost. She was flesh and grit. She trapped bobcat and bear, sold pelts at market, and vanished before the sun could rise too high. Children dared each other to run past her fence, where bones hung like wind chimes. One boy swore she spoke to a mountain lion like it was her kin. Then came the flood of 1937. The river rose 10 feet in a single night. A train derailed near the bend, its cargo military grade, its contents unknown. Men from the town were terrified, afraid, but Elsie Jane was not. She tied up her skirts, loaded her mule, and rode into the dark woods alone. 3 days later, she returned, dragging 2 crates and a wounded soldier. He was half drowned and half crazy, speaking of a gas that burned his eyes. She nursed him with herbs and moonshine, and when he could walk again, he kissed her hand and disappeared into the hills. That winter, the pelts stopped showing up at market. The widow no longer came down the mountain. But some mornings, when the mist rolls heavy over Panther Creek, hikers say they see her silhouette, shotgun in hand, a panther at her side, and bones still swaying in the trees. And the old-timers, they just tip their hats and say, let her be, she's guarding the woods. The miner's son. Far to the north, in the coal towns of Pennsylvania, another story was unfolding. In 1910, young Joseph Riley worked beside his father in the mines. He was only 14, but already he knew the weight of the world. He knew the sound of fallen rock, the sting of gas, and the ache of exhaustion. Each day he descended into darkness, not for glory, but for bread, not for ambition, but for survival. Then came the collapse, a sudden shift, a war of stone, men trapped, his father among them. Joseph did not hesitate. He ran to the foreman. He led the rescue. He navigated unstable shafts with courage beyond his years. He saved lives that day, and though no medals were given, the town remembered. In a place forged by hardship and soot, Joseph Riley became a light. What binds these two souls, Elsie Jane and Joseph Riley? They were not famous. They were not rich. They did not seek applause, but they guarded what mattered. Elsie guarded the wild. Joseph guarded the living. She stood watch over the woods. He stood watch over the mines. And in their silence, they taught us something sacred, that courage does not always war. It sometimes walks with a limp and carries a rifle. That love does not always speak. It sometimes hides in a photograph tucked inside a coat. That heroism is not always loud. It sometimes digs through rubble with bare hands. Today we live in a world that moves too fast. We scroll past stories. We forget the names of those who built the roads we walk. But let us not forget the widow of Panther Creek. Let us not forget the miner's son in Pennsylvania. Let us remember the ones who stood watch when no one else would, and honor the quiet guardians. We need to carry their spirit into our own lives, because somewhere in the midst, she still walks, and somewhere in the dust, he still digs. And if we listen, truly listen, we might hear them say, be brave, be kind, and be watchful. May God bless the memory of Elsie Jane Carter. May God bless the courage of Joseph Riley. and may we too become guardians of the forgotten. I hope you enjoyed the story. Have a good day, guys.